So let's talk about storage for the Switch. In this video, I want to talk about everything you need to know about memory on the Switch. And I'm also going to be talking about how to upgrade pre-existing memory to a higher capacity. So without further ado, let's start the video. First and foremost, I want to go over cards. Now, if you don't have any card for your Nintendo Switch, what you want to buy is a micro SD card. And the nice thing about the Switch is any micro SD card will work regardless of the speed and regardless of the capacity. Anything will work. At the time of this recording, the highest micro SD card on the market is 1 terabyte. Now the Switch does support up to 2 terabyte, but they don't make 2 terabyte cards at the time of this recording. At the time of this recording, again, 1 terabyte is the highest capacity, and all you do is buy any micro SD card, pop it into the Switch, and you can start downloading games immediately from the eShop. That's all you need to do. But I do want to talk about cards a little bit more. So first and foremost, I recommend getting a card up to 128. I don't recommend anything less. So if you're unsure of what type of memory card you want to buy, I would start with 128 gig, nothing less, just because a lot of games have updates. There's a lot of free games on the eShop you can download. There's also physical games that do have big patches or extra downloads, and everything can add up. And I think for what you're paying for 128, it won't break the bank for most people, and 128 is solid option if you're unsure if you're going to be downloading a lot of stuff to your Switch. And then when it comes to brands, you may be wondering which brands are best for the Switch. Personally, I would recommend 2 brands, SanDisk and Samsung. Those are ones that even Nintendo recommends. Those are reliable and good brands to buy, but pretty much any brand on the market should actually work just fine on the Switch. You don't have to specifically buy SanDisk or Samsung, but those are pretty much the gold standards when it comes to micro SD cards. And then also note, SanDisk does make Nintendo branded cards, but do not buy Nintendo branded cards. They do work well on the Switch, and there's nothing wrong with them. The only problem with the Nintendo branded SanDisk cards is the fact that you are going to be paying a little bit more than a traditional SanDisk card without the Nintendo branding, just due to the fact that they have a partnership with Nintendo and they have to pay more to get their branding on the card. So in all reality, it turns out that you have to pay more for the card for the same capacity of that SanDisk card. So just stick with standard SanDisk and standard Samsung, and it doesn't matter the speed. Actually, fun fact, don't buy the fastest speed like the Extreme Pro from SanDisk or anything like that, because it turns out the Switch doesn't go higher than, I think, 95 megabytes read speed on the game. So essentially, if you buy the fastest speed you can possibly find, you're actually wasting your money because the Switch doesn't even utilize it. And then you may be also wondering where to buy your micro SD cards. Believe it or not, there is specific places you should be buying them and shouldn't be buying them. First off, I would highly recommend anytime you want to buy a micro SD card, always go to a retailer, period, in my opinion. Go to places like Walmart, Target, Best Buy. Walk in, buy it, and then walk out, and you're done. Don't go to sites like Amazon or eBay. If you go to sites like Amazon or eBay online, they do actually have SanDisk and Samsung, but a lot of people get confused and they end up buying these fake cards off of eBay and Amazon, and then when they put them in their Switch, they get less capacity than what they originally wanted, or in some cases the SD card is too slow, or it gets glitchy, or just malfunctions. So I would recommend never actually buying it online. Always walk into a store, again, like Walmart, Target, or Best Buy, just because you know the SD card isn't going to be fake, because they're not allowed to sell fakes at retailers across the country. So stay away from those again. And now let's actually talk about how to actually transfer over everything to a brand new micro SD card if you are planning on upgrading it, because in my case I am planning on upgrading my memory from 200 gig up to 512. So you can see right here in front of me, I do have a brand new Samsung micro SD card. This one is 512 gig. Also note, if you are planning on upgrading the storage in the Switch, it doesn't matter if you switch brands. Like for instance, me, I am switching brands from SanDisk to Samsung. The reason is I did get a very good discount on this deal compared to the SanDisk card. That's why I'm going with Samsung, but Samsung is a trusted brand. This one is 512. I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but just take my word for it. There it is, 512 gigs, Samsung micro SD card. There it is right there. Now let's actually go to the switch, because there is some things to note about the switch. Now when it comes to transferring stuff from one SD card to another SD card, there is two different ways you can go about this. The easiest way is going to be transferring everything to a computer, but I know some people don't have a traditional Mac or Windows computer and you may not have any other option. So the only other thing you can do is, if you don't have a computer to transfer everything from one micro SD card to another, is going to be popping in the brand new micro SD card to the Switch and just re-downloading everything from the eShop, because with the Switch you can always re-download everything on the eShop, no problem asked. But I highly don't recommend doing that if you have a computer, just due to the fact that it will be very, very slow. And in my case, for some reason the Switch has bad internet connection, and also for some reason Nintendo servers are so slow. It takes me hours to download games that aren't even that big, and it's not even my internet, because I pay for extremely fast internet, so that's clearly not the case. So I would not recommend that. If you have a computer, use a computer. But before I talk about the computer situation, I do recommend actually doing something with all your things on your album first and foremost. And what I actually recommend is, you can just put your micro SD card into an actual computer and just drag and drop everything from one micro SD card to another, and you're good to go. That's it. But I actually recommend doing something with your album stuff first, and let me show you what I'm actually talking about. So if you go into system settings on the Switch and then you scroll down to data management, here is data management on the Switch, and what you actually want to do is you want to go all the way down to manage screenshots and video, and inside manage screenshots and video you want to go down to copy to a computer via a USB connection. So you click on that, and then you when that actually comes up in a second, you actually want to plug in a USB-C cable to the Switch to a computer, and it'll automatically come up, and then you can drag and drop all your files from that to a computer's hard drive or somewhere else. And I highly recommend doing this just because it is fairly fast. And also, when you try to transfer all your games from one micro SD card to another, you'll pretty much cut down the time a little bit, just due to the fact that you won't have to worry about any of your photos and videos being on there while you're transferring. And I have a lot of photos and videos I've taken on my Switch. I have about, I want to say 7 or 8 gigs of that, and that does add up during the transfer process. So do that first. Now another thing I highly recommend, which also Nintendo recommends, is when you're taking out your micro SD card, always turn off the system first. Never ever remove the micro SD card while the system is on. Actually, if you do that, a message will pop up that says this is unsafe, and it is unsafe. A couple of things could happen. You can actually damage your memory card in worst cases, but most likely nothing will happen. But then sometimes your data will get corrupted on the micro SD card, and that's not what you want to do. So you want to flip your Switch to the top, and you want to hold down on the button right next to the volume rocker. Hold it down, and then it should bring up a menu that says power off. You want to power off your Switch completely. So go to power options and then turn off. And it only takes like literally 1 second to turn off the Switch. Now my Switch is completely off. Flip it over to the back, and once you flip over your Switch to the back, you want to take your fingernail and pop up the kickstand, which can be kind of tricky a little bit. But there, you want to take off the kickstand, and then inside there the micro SD card will sit there. Just eject it with your fingernail. It will come out very easily. Here it is right here, my 200 gig SanDisk memory card. And before you actually take your old memory out of your Switch and plug it into the computer to do any of the transferring process, I highly recommend putting in the new micro SD card right away. That should be step number 1, and I'm going to tell you why this should be step number 1. So put your new memory card into the Switch, the one that you're going to put all your brand new games on. Close it and then turn it on. The reason you actually want to do this first and foremost is the fact that when you put the brand new memory card into the Switch, it automatically formats it into the right format for the card to work with the Switch, and then it also does add a couple of folders to the Switch, so it automatically has everything set up correctly to the Switch. The thing is, with the brand new memory card, you can actually plug both memory cards into the computer and just drag and drop one memory card over to the brand new memory card and transfer over all your files. But the thing is though, the memory card may not be in the right format. I know that there are formatting tools on both Mac and Windows, but the thing is, it is kind of tricky to figure that out, and some people aren't knowledgeable. So the best option is always putting your new memory card into the switch, let it format, let it do everything it needs to do, and then power off your switch again, and then put everything onto the computer and you're good to go. So after you actually put the brand new memory card into the switch and let it make everything, once it's on, turn it back off again. Go ahead and press the power button at the top, power down the switch, of course, and then what you want to do is take out the memory card, and here's what you want to do is you want to use a computer. And again, if you don't have a computer, the only other option is putting in the new memory card and re-downloading everything from the eShop. But take out your memory card, and then after you take out your memory card, you're going to pretty much have both memory cards available at your disposal. And you guys know, with memory cards, most computers don't actually have a way to actually allow you to place the memory card inside of your computer. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to have to get some type of adapter, usually a USB like micro SD card adapter, or a 2-in-1 adapter or something like that. Or if your computer does have an SD card reader, which some computers actually do have SD card readers, you're going to want to get an SD card adapter, which most of these companies do give you an SD card reader right away. Put in one of the cards into the computer. You can put both into the computer and just drag and drop from the old card over to the brand new card. Or what you can do is you can actually take the old card, put it into the computer, whether it's into one of these adapters, into an SD card slot on your computer, or a USB micro SD card or standard SD card adapter. And what you can do is drag and drop everything from the old card over to a drive on your computer. And I would actually highly recommend doing this first regardless, just due to the fact that if something goes wrong, you'll have everything backed up again on your computer locally or on another storage device. That's what I'm planning on doing. I'm planning on taking the old card, popping it into my computer, and then drag and drop everything from this SD card over to a drive on my computer, and then from there I'm going to transfer everything over to the brand new micro SD card. That's actually what I'm planning to do, but you can just drag and drop from one to another. You don't have to go in and actually put everything on here to a drive on your computer, but for safety reasons I would recommend that. And that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and do that process. I'll tell you how long it takes and everything like that. Then I will be back and show you if this worked, and I'll show you how much storage I have left on my Switch. Okay, so I am back here on camera. I did the process, and the process for me took about an hour. Keep in mind, I was using USB 3.0 ports on my computer. If you are using the older USB 2.0 ports, it is going to take a very long time. But for me, it only took an hour to do the whole entire process. So let's do that. And that was also including the album feature on the Switch that I just showed you, where you connect the USB cable to the Switch in system settings for the album. I did that first just to get that out of the way, and even with all that, it still took about an hour, so it wasn't too bad on my end. Now I'm going to take my brand new Samsung 512 SD card, and I am going to pop it in to the Switch right now so I can actually use it. My Switch is turned off, and when you put in an SD card, you make sure it's off as well, not just when taking it out, but also when putting it in, you want to turn it off at all costs so nothing will corrupt. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn the Switch back on. The Switch is turning back on, and then all my games and everything should be on my memory card. There is one thing to note that I did forget to mention up to this point, is the fact that all your game saves for the games are going to be stored locally on the Switch, unless you pay for the Nintendo Switch online service, which is $20 a year. Then all your game saves are backed up to the cloud on Nintendo servers. But for me, everything is backed up or is on my Nintendo Switch internal memory. So don't worry about all your game saves, because they are stuck to the internal memory. But yes, everything that I own should be on this memory card. Now what I'm going to do is go into system settings, and in system settings I'm going to go to data management, and in data management you should see micro SD card, and it's saying I have 253 gig left because I have a lot of games. I'm pretty much all digital on my Switch when it comes to retail games, when it comes to indie games, when it comes to everything. I'm all digital. So there it is right there, 253 gig left on my Switch. So it looks like it did actually read my memory card, and it looks like it is working just fine. But I am going to test it on camera really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and boot into Mario Kart. I'm going to boot into Mario Kart 8 to see if it actually read my memory card. So it's booting up Mario Kart 8, and it looks like Mario Kart 8 is loading just fine. I guess I'll go ahead and start a game really quickly to see if it's actually working. So let's go ahead and load this up. Single player is fine. Grand Prix 50cc. This will work. It's loading the game. And yeah, so far it's actually loading just fine. It doesn't seem to be glitching. It doesn't seem to be acting weird. It looks like it is actually working 100% A-OK. So that's actually good news. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and back out of the game into the main menu, and then turn off. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about upgrading your memory card to a brand new or higher capacity to the Switch. Hope this video was helpful to all of you guys that may be trying to upgrade your memory card on your Switch because you need more storage. That's pretty much it. Anyway guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.